Welcome to the Two Blokes Chatting radio show on 94.7 The Pulse. Music, interviews, news, and, well, Two Blokes Chatting. Now, here are the two blokes.
Rob Cameron, I reckon that there's an institution across Victoria that has been going for 40 years and things are about to change, and I thought we should get one of them on the radio. What do you reckon? Oh, hang on. What do you reckon?
I reckon you're right, but I got a what do you reckon too? This institution has changed from Saturday morning to Friday afternoon. Do you reckon that's because they got sick of competing with the Two Blokes Chatting radio show?
What do you reckon? I would have thought so, yeah.
How are you, Cove?
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you. Good morning to Neil. Good morning to you, Rob. Could never be talking to you so late in the morning. Normally I'd be on very early.
Yes.
You know, headline guest. I've relegated to just, bring it up to the news at 11.
No, you haven't got that long. But that's okay. Yes. But it is momentous, isn't it? I mean, the last time there was a change of this level was when you moved from a national broadcaster to a commercial broadcaster and then back to the national broadcaster. But you've been pretty much ensconced in late Saturday mornings for a long, long time as the Coodabeen champions on the ABC.
Yes, well, that's quite right. It was 30 years ago, 1993, that we went from the ABC the first time to the 3RW. But that was still Saturday morning. Yep, we're going from Saturday morning till Friday afternoon. Of course, the big development in that time, of course, is the advent of the podcast.
Yes.
So, over the years on Saturday morning, there's still been people saying, they're doing other things like junior sport, going out for breakfast, or brunch.
Yes, listening to Two Blokes Chatting.
Listen to Two Blokes Chatting, mowing the grass. And, of course, a lot of people that couldn't hear the program have been able to access the podcast. Similarly, there may well be people on a Friday that are doing other things and they can still get the podcast and sit down on a Saturday morning. They can have Two Blokes Chatting going in one ear and the Coodabeen's podcast in the other.
A total of 8 blokes chatting.
So some clever marketing person, no doubt, would have said, well, there's going to be an audience for us on Friday afternoon to make the commercial decision viable. But for you guys, though, the change for you, was that somewhat forced, or did you chat about it as a group? How did it all take place?
Oh, look, that's I can't go into detail. I mean, we work as a group, and I'd be perhaps out of line to speak on behalf of the others.
Because you've never done that before.
Suffice to say that, we weighed everything up. And, in fact, we're quite excited about the challenge of doing something different on a Friday afternoon. And don't forget, drive time is probably just as listened to as breakfast time when it comes to radio. People in the people who work, the opposite of going to work, they're coming home. These days they're at home all the time anyway, with people working from home. And let's face it, I reckon Hamish and Andy cut their teeth on drive time radio. Martin and Malloy, Billy Brownless and others on, been doing talk drive time radio. So, and look, on the other part of the thing is when we were I can speak here on behalf of the others, that when we were talking about it, I said, well, you hear footballers when they retire and they say, well, after 12 years I'll now be able to have Saturdays. I've never had Saturday off in winter for 12 years. Try 41.
Yes. It is obviously, we're going to pump our own tyres up. It is an enormous commitment to your listening audience to give up your Saturday mornings at no cost in our case, to bring entertainment, and I use the term loosely. So from that perspective, I guess, the other thing is too, if people are listening to you in their car and they happen to use Westgate, they're going to be able to get the whole program plus an hour either side of it.
Well, we did a test run yesterday afternoon, actually, which is up and available as a podcast on the 3MP app.
Yes.
And we did a trial run yesterday. and I got in the car, and I was going down. That Collins Street extension down the bottom end.
Yes.
And you can get over Spencer Street, and the next bit 2 years ago, before COVID, it used to take about 40 minutes to do about 200 metres.
Yes.
Well, I breezed down there, swung a lefty up over that, the Charles Grimes Bridge, swung a righty onto the Westgate Freeway from Montague Street, and came to a dead stop. And it was 5 to 6 o'clock when it came on. They said, and in traffic, avoid the Westgate the car pile up near the Williamstown Road exit. 5 lanes are down to 2. It took me exactly what you said, Neil. It took me, I reckon, 45 minutes from there to the other side of the Westgate Bridge.
Cove, just one more quick one on the Coodabeen before we get...
I was going to say, and I didn't have you to listen.
That's the truth of it, isn't it? I'm going to be really interested to see how flat you blokes sound on a Friday afternoon when you haven't had us for inspiration.
Yeah. Well, I'll be listening to you like on as I am live this morning.
Yes.
And just taking notes, pitching material 6 days later.
Well, there is, of course, the Two Blokes Chatting podcast and the Long Run podcast, which you could use in the car going up.
Yeah,
it's this week's program. That's the only problem.
Gratuitous self-promotion.
Yeah.
Cove.
I was just going to say, they've been running an ad in the Herald Sun. You may have noticed it, or your listeners may have. There's been an ad for a picture of us. And the ad says, new station, new day, new time. I said to them, you left one thing off. They said, what's that? I said, same old gap.
That's where I was going. Yes, and it may have popped up 4,000 times in Facebook this week too, I've noticed.
That's a perfect segue to what I was going to say, Cove, before we get on to the great SK Warren. But are you pitching a little bit of change of style for a potential new audience, or will it literally be more of the same?
More of the same.
Yeah, good.
More of the same.
Well done.
Same format, same running order. Exactly right. Yeah, and one of the things that we will be doing, which will be a little bit different from the last few years, and even pre-COVID, is we'll be doing a number of country OBs. We always loved doing the program from various places around Victoria. A few years back, that became more of a challenge at our previous employer, usually under the heading of budgetary constraints, even though they get $1 billion a year before they start. And then COVID made it even harder. And, I think everyone is mindful of how country communities who have their, a lot of things in country communities revolve around the football netball club. And they've had, very little activity the last couple of years. And a lot of small towns, Bob, as you well know, didn't have one case of COVID, yet they couldn't gather. And we've always enjoyed going out into country Victoria, and the Ace Radio Network, as our new employers, they own country radio stations right outside Victoria, and we'll be going to a number of the towns where they're based and doing the program 4 till 6 on a Friday afternoon at a local footy ground, which will the plan is they'll program one of their games of the round on a Friday night under lights.
Well, if you need us to come along as a support act, just say the word, mate. We're always happy to come along and help.
You can do the warm-up between 2 and 4.
That'll be it. We'll do that.
Cove, SK Warren hit everybody's mind and heart. To wake up to news like that after just getting over the news of Rodney Marsh, it just, for cricket lovers, it's quite confronting.
Well, that's right. We're talking about, a change in perhaps for people who listen to a radio show for 41 years. It really, all our minor concerns of, our own day-to-day lives are thrown into perspective, and when you wake to that news. In fact, I picked up my phone this morning, and there'd been a text from a great mate and cricket lover, and he just wrote a line, and it said, and he and I have this fascination with the number 52. It seems to bob up a lot. Sir Donald Bradman played 52 tests, etc.
I think Dean Jones played 52 tests.
Correct. Merv Hughes mucked it up, played 53. But we were talking about that, and he put a thing on my phone. I just picked this text this morning, said 52, ! The eternal Roman. I thought, and I thought, I was half asleep. I thought, maybe Warnie's, it's his birthday today. Maybe he's picked up on him being 52. And then my daughter rang, and she was up early and heard the news. I said, no, you got it wrong. I've got a message here from, whoever, and said, no, I think it's his birthday. She goes, no, Dad, he's had a heart attack. So it's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yes,
it was unbelievable when that news came through that night that Dean Jones had a heart attack.
Yeah.
So
they're assembling a fair old team up there, aren't they?
Exactly. Yeah. And even Rodney Marsh at 74 these days is, still far too young. He's still, out and about and active and, et cetera, et cetera. So, it's incredible. And people use that word surreal,
surreal is a good word.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, we're closer in age probably to, Marsh, and you probably, though like Lily and Marsh and all that, all conquering Aussie team and all that sort of stuff. I guess they were real boyhood heroes, whereas the more contemporary cricketers, well, they're not quite as mystical because you know everything about them. You see every test match, you see them on the commentary. They really are part of your lives.
Yeah.
But the part of your life that the Marshes were was this one that wasn't quite as accessible, or you weren't part of it. You really felt you were looking in on that, whereas the other thing, more recently, you're not looking in, you're actually often inside. And in the privilege for me, working for Cricket Victoria for 20 years, I did things with Shane Warne. I think I met Rod Marsh once, and I was more in awe of meeting Rod Marsh than I was of Warne, frankly.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a Marshy story, just quickly?
It's got to be a quick one, yes.
Right. I was hosting a function one night for Cricket Victoria, and it was a day nighter at the G, and then it was in this official lunch or dinner room, and Marsh was there, and he had a couple of young cricketers with him from the academy, and I found myself at the bar at about 10 o'clock, and I said, Rodney, and introduced myself, and I said, how's it going? I said, who are those two young fellas you got there with you? And he said, the one with the ears sticking out is the best batsman in Australia, and he's not even playing for Australia yet.
A. Gilchrist.
Correct. Yeah. A great one for talent identification. I think he might have had him at the academy at the time. The other one, incidentally, was Kevin Roberts, who ended up CEO of Cricket Australia, but Marshy passed no comment on him.
Yes.
Cove, genuine good luck with the new time slot. We will be listening with interest. I look forward to seeing you at Cardinia Park at stages, but yes.
And we're going to see you two blokes chatting at the John Cricket Club cocktail party on Wednesday night.
I'm unable to be there. I got my nose out of joint last year because you didn't acknowledge the media. No, I have a prior appointment. I did thank Jenny for her very kind invitation, but Rob will be representing us. And, of course, once we get these COVID restrictions released, we're getting you and Ross Stevenson in here for a four-way chat. So keep that diary date open.
Oh, well, I got Saturday mornings free.
Thanks, Ian Cobra from the Coodabeen Champions. All the very best. Fridays, 3MP, 1377 AM on your dial from this Friday coming.
All the very best.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks.